Oh, there you go. So you see, I was trying to tell you. I've been talking to you, bro. Testing, testing. They should have
Kweku Pendo, Milwaukee. That means I love you. Welcome to the check-in, formerly known as Nayumbu Pendo, the House of Love. And you know how we do it here. We cannot start the show until we do our P and Ps, and that's the first P is for permission from our elders, as in the tradition of our ancestors. We must get that permission. That permission has been granted. The second P is prayers. We've been given a prayer for the show, and the show is that for us to be able to deal with the climate, this weather that's going on. So please be so very careful, but also that the contents of this show may uplift and strengthen you in different ways. I'm your host, Kweku Dr.Alisia, joined with Alisia Moutry. Can you hear me, Doc?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
She
didn't want to leave her house because it was cold. So I see what you're doing.
Well, you know what? I'm just trying to listen. I'm just trying to keep people safe. That's all I'm doing. But what I love is that no matter what location we are, we have the ability to lift every voice. And then between breaths, we have an opportunity to create these safe spaces that we do, and then we do it mentally, physically, and spiritually. So I'm so happy to even be here. Trina, you're looking quite lovely. We're gonna get to you in a minute, but I just want you to know you're looking
yeah, don't be talking about the guests. We still got to do it. I want to take my man, Jermaine, right out in Clark. Come on, this is what we do. What's going on, Jay?
Hey, man, I can't complain. Listen here, sister, make sure that your volume on your device is turned all the way up because we want to make sure that the people hear everything that you have to say.
Oh, I love it. I will do that. Is that a little bit better right there?
It sounds a little bit better.
That sounds a little better.
Okay,
Brother Blue here making sure that everything goes smooth. So this is what we're going to do. Hey, you know what? As we get into this show, I just want to talk about like the King Day celebrations that just happened. We had some beautiful things happen at the Y, at the Martin Luther King Library, at the Martin Luther King Center, over at Wisconsin Historical Black Society, over at Alamo. All of the companies, shout out, who let the people go for not a day off, but a day on. This is the time for us to serve. And Martin Luther King, one of his most famous quotes was, he said, anybody can be great because anybody can serve. So when we start thinking serving, it's a hierarchy. And I know I fall victim to this and not doing in this order, but we want us to just have that spirit of serving self. Make sure we take care of self, then our family, then our community, then our nation, then our world. So just doing that. So we want to make sure that these seasonal gifts that we give of serving, we do year round, but that we have a rotation so that we don't burn ourselves out. And I want to dedicate this show to all of the warriors, living and dead, who was there with Martin Luther King. A lot of times we celebrate this day like it's just about him, but it's not about Martin Luther King. It's about the movement and everything that movement represented. Yes, he was the face. He should be celebrated. He should be respected and revered in that human sense, but he could not have done this without all of the different people. And one of the things I'd just like to talk about is that one of his big things that he said, I think I've integrated my people into a burning building, talking about America. And he says, we've been fighting for social inclusion, but he says there's no need to have social inclusion if you're excluded financially. So social inclusion with financial exclusion doesn't really make sense. So what we want to think about today is how are we being smart with our money? We want to talk about how do we make sure that we're not only a part of this dream, but that we can be great contributors. So many times we can be reactive in what we do. So we want to talk about today about being proactive. And so I want to bring up the word that everybody know they got to hear, and that's taxes. What they say is two things: that's certain, death and taxes. But we don't want to talk about the death right now, but we want to talk about the taxes. And when I think about taxes, I just think about April 15th. And if April 15th is your understanding of the taxes, that means you are reactive, that is going too long. But hey, Dr. Moutry, tell me some of the things. I'm gonna go with a couple, or some pop in your head. Tell me what you think of, because when I think of taxes, I think of, like, sometimes you see those memes on social media, Facebook, and it's this one skinny dude with this fat lady, and it's got that check, and they say, "Oh, we know that it's tax season time." I think about people who wait till the 15th, and then if you go by the post office, it's just a line around the corner with cars waiting to put their information in and make sure that it's mailed and postmarked by the 12th.
That sounds like Jermaine. Is that you right out?
No, that ain't right out, because he done rolled but he gonna be right back in. He gonna be right back in. But no, but also I think about, like, sometimes people get that check, like, I can't wait to get this check. And so we talking about, are we being responsible, fiscally responsible, when we get those taxes, to make sure. And then for the people who don't think you got to pay your taxes, hey, learn from the past. You got to pay your taxes. That is not an option. And if you do not pay your taxes, it's consequences. And one of the worst ones is you go to jail. So when we talk about this is not my area of expertise. But I know we got a friend of the show, Dr. Moutry, who's been on.
You asked me a question. You asked me.
Usually you just butt in, so I didn't think you had done.
I'm just saying,
Give me what you got.
I think I love too, but I want to tell you what I think about. Because we can talk about filing taxes, and we can talk about tax and planning preparation. I am the planner, and so when I think about tax season, I think about, like, oh my God, let me check my records. Do I have everything in order? Did I miss anything? Did I miss anybody? And then, unfortunately, sometimes I'm on the side of things to say, man, did I take enough taxes out so that in case I have to pay, that I'm not put in a bind because taxes are due? Because I pay my taxes, and sometimes it could be a little, sometimes it could be a lot, but no matter what they are, have I planned enough so that I'm prepared? So I just had to answer that question. That's what I think about when it comes to the tax.
We talk about Martin Luther King. You sound like Luther from Set It Off. It's three people you don't play with: the I, the Ara, and the S. so
Period.
So we go from that standpoint. But like I said, when we come here, we talk about, like, well, who is a person who has a detailed knowledge? And so when I think about somebody like that, I say, well, we got to bring somebody in. And it's funny because when I talk about Katrina Moore, I just look at the Moores, and they just been holding it down on WNOV. Her husband has been on with Pastor Piles the past couple of weeks, talking about marriage and leadership and things of that nature. But the reason why I love Katrina Moore is because I've known her since we went to grade school together. She went to Green Bay Avenue with me. Then we went to Samuel Morris. Then she went to some white school called John Marshall. No, all love to the Eagles. I'm just messing with you. And then we went to college together, actually, at UW Whitewater. Came in at the same time. And just seeing her be able to go through this area was good. But then as she started to, we get older, we go into our fields. I was like, oh, she's doing some things. And I'm going to go into your career because you worked at American Family, at Johnson Controls, at FIS. And I'm going to ask you a little bit later, like, how those kind of played into, like, what you do right now. But the reason why I love her is because I get to see her interact as a wife, as a mother, as a devoted daughter, as a great big sister to her brother, as a member of Delta Sigma Theta sorority. And Jermaine, if you push me, I'm gonna tell you that her go-to in karaoke is what Dr. Moutry.
Easy like Sunday morning, baby. Easy like Sunday morning.
Don't get it, because she gonna go into it.
They need a mic.
Hey, listen, but hey, real talk, Jermaine. So, like, when I worked with the Bucks, my taxes was a little complicated. So I had this man named Eddie Reed. He used to actually do Herb Cole's thing, but he said, I'm done. I can't do anything. So I was like, oh, I don't know what to do. I had been with him since I was at NPS. He had grew me up, and I was looking for somebody, and I found Katrina Moore. Whoa. So when I tell you, like, her understanding of the tax laws from state to state and everything like that, when I tell you we have somebody who understands the taxes from a point from state to state, what's current, what's going on. And she's not a stranger to the show. She was on the show on Nayumbo Pendo.
I did. I had her on.
And now she's back on the check-in. So welcome, Katrina Moore.
Yes. Hey, Kweku.
Yes, ma'am.
Kweku, before we allow Katrina to talk about herself, I just feel like we bring on guests that I feel have some serious cred. And before she gets into her thing, do you mind if I just give a little bit? You gave like some of the personal stuff that you know about her. I think she has some amazing contributions that she's done in the accounting and tax field that the listening audience need to know about, so that as they listen, they know we're just not bringing no Joe Blow from the side of the road. She knows her business. Do you mind? Do you mind? So again, Katrina Moore. She is an EA, which is the IRS enrolled agent. So that's like the highest credential awarded by the Department of Treasury. So just know that about her. She's been in the business for about 15 years as a tax preparation person and accounting. And what I love about it, like when we did the show last year, we talked to Jermaine and he's like, yeah, I'm not ready for that. But what I love about it, what she talks about is her specialty is making the tax less stressful and more understandable, because I think sometimes people get stressed out about it. They don't understand it. They don't know about it. She's got her master's in science and accounting and a bachelor's in science and public administration. I would just say last thing is she's a member of the NATP, the National Association of Tax Professionals. She's opened up more and more in 2016. And so now we're here today to gather an audience, free knowledge about what she does. And so 2019, she opened up income tax services. So I just wanted to like start with that, because sometimes people, you just think you bringing on just anybody. Hey, we're not playing here. We're bringing you some real deal knowledge professionals in your presence, so you can check in with us.
Yeah, and Katrina, I want you to talk about this, because as she talks about like all of these accolades, nobody that I know grew up saying, I want to do taxes. Like people who are good with numbers want to make numbers. But I want to know, like, we talked about your experiences with American Family, with insurance, and then going to Johnson Controls and FIS. Talk about how some of these other positions kind of got you ready to be able to say, this is what exactly it is I want to do.
Well, I never wanted to, taxes wasn't the end result, but accounting was always my result. So in high school, I took my first accounting class with Miss Terrell.
All right, shout out to John Marshall. Come on.
John Marshall High School, and didn't know I had a love for accounting. But what she did is she opened my eyes, because
what's her name again?
Miss Terrell.
Shout out Miss Terrell.
Yes, Miss Terrell opened my eyes to accounting, but she opened my eyes to that I can learn it, because I went through 1 semester or 1 year of accounting. And what she said to me is, you're doing so well. Let me see if we can get an independent study for you to do the second half of this book. And so that's what my accounting actually started. So it started in high school, and those teachers who instill something in you.
Well, you know what, that makes sense now, because when I need anything with anything like this, and not just me, but a lot of people who I didn't even know knew you on that level, when they talk about their account, they talk about Katrina Moore. And I was like, yeah, when you ask her a question, she knows this. Is there anything outside of Miss Terrell's class, like I said, working at American Family, Johnson Controls, doing all of those other works, working with numbers, that got you even more qualified to let you know, yeah, this is my position that I know I need to be in?
Well, as we all go, my bachelor's degree is in public administration. And so when I got out of college, it wasn't my first job. My first job was American Family claims adjuster for 5 years. And then I went into, it was called Metavante, not FIS. It was Metavante at the time. And I stayed there for 10 years, got laid off, and then went to Johnson Controls. So at that point, you have to think, what do you want to do? And in all of my jobs, it always dealt with something with money, something with accounting, something that sort. So that's when I decided that I need to look at something else. And I went into taxes.
Okay, so I see that you went back to school, got your master's in accounting, and then you did some independent contract work with MTech. You did some other things there. Is that what let you know you could do your own business?
I worked for, actually, what I do believe is at least working for someone in the industry for a while. So I worked for somebody for 3 years in the tax industry. In that same sense, I was in accounting and nonprofits with MTech and with a couple of others, just to get some different knowledge. But after working in that industry under the tax person, I decided, you know what, I can do this on my own. So that's when I got that entrepreneur spirit and went out on my own.
So what did you learn from filing your own taxes when you were independent consultant and things of that nature, like kind of branching off, kind of getting your own shingle, so to speak, that let you know, one, financially, I can do this, but also what was the things I had to be careful of so I didn't fall into certain traps?
Well, I was a business owner because being an entrepreneur, just because you're a business owner, don't mean that you're going to be good at the accounting.
Yeah.
So even though I was going into accounting and as a business owner, I needed to make sure that I knew exactly what was going on. So that's when I studied the taxes. And then at that time I had rental properties. So the tax situation was getting complicated. I was looking at my tax person like, are you really doing this the right way? So I really went into,
But see, I
okay.
like that. You was like, let me double check the person who's doing my money and everything like that. Now, did you see any discrepancies, or did you just say, oh, I learned from this, and because of my knowledge, I don't even really need you. I could do this on my own?
Exactly right. Where I did learn from what they were doing, and I did find some errors too.
Yeah.
And so I learned, I'm like, okay, we need to actually understand what's going on. So it's not just doing your taxes, it's not just putting your numbers in, but you really need to understand what's going on with your taxes.
Okay, so now what I want to ask you is this, is because doing this, it changes from year to year. Like you started your own business in 2016. So congratulations on 10 years. They say usually when a business make it past 5 years, it's let you know, hey, that they doing good work, it's sustainable and things of that nature. But I would imagine that through those 10 years, there's been some significant changes. What are some of the changes before we talk about specifically that's for 2025 and 2026, but some things you just you've seen over the years that people might still think like, oh, I used to do this and I can still do this, might be doing it fraudulently, not even knowing?
There's quite when I went in 2016, I kind of was brought in, well, when my own business 2016, where I had to learn myself, really not having that mentor to kind of go over and going to making sure that I had more education, more information on what I was doing. That's when the 2017 tax change with Trump the first time.
The first time.
The first time.
Okay.
So we saw a lot of changes where a lot of tax professionals started to get out of the business in 2018 because it was so many changes.
Now, was it because the changes were just too many, or that because they were unfair, or they didn't think that they were beneficial to the people they were working with?
They didn't want to learn them.
Okay. Oh, okay. No. That's more than understandable.
They were used to what it was going on. The taxes had been kind of the same. The system was kind of the same for a while, and they were just like, okay, all of these changes, we really don't.
That's
really
the sign to retire. It's just
it was
for me to get out.
But that made a perfect opportunity for someone like me that was starting out. That okay, let me learn as much as I can with what's going on with the tax laws, how they change. What can I do to help?
Okay, so what I want you to think about this, and everybody, please. Oh, go ahead, Dr. Moutry.
Yeah, I don't forget about me over here. I can't be in, but I'm still here with you. But three things real quick. One, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Miss Terrell. As being an educator of 35 years, it's always amazing when that seed that you planted begins to flourish. So I don't want to skip over that because it's amazing to have a teacher that pushes. It's beautiful. I mean, and look at how she's bloomed. So that's one thing. And then I wanted to give just another point. Another one is, Trina, I just like to personally on air, thank you so much for when I was over a business, I had some difficulties with my accountant. I felt like they didn't know more than I knew. And I was like, that's a problem. So I let that person go. And Katrina Moore, you came over and you put some things into place, some policies, some practices that really made my business flow. So I wanted to thank you for that. And then the third thing that leads me into the third thing, we've been talking a little bit about tax filing and tax preparation. Kweku knows that when I'm in the studio, really, I kind of like start with that foundational piece. Can you just, if you don't mind, real quickly, just explaining the difference? Because some people get those two things mixed up. What is tax filing? What is tax planning? Can you just decipher between the two, please?
Okay, so there's definitely a difference between tax filing and tax planning. With tax filing, all you're doing is really taking those numbers from last year and putting them in and make sure that you're compliant with the current tax laws. So that's why we have to file our taxes every year. Tax planning is something that's long-term. Tax planning is not just something that happens that day. You need to do tax planning throughout the year. If you're coming to your financial person, your tax person in March, April, February, and say, hey, I want to do some tax planning, it's too late. You should have been looking at them the year before. So with tax planning, you need to be looking at that year round so that you can get tax strategies to make sure that you're getting all the information that you need.
You know what? And so when I look at that, that's one of the beautiful things where you say, hey, what is the way that a person can break that down? Like, can you say, okay, you weren't doing what you were supposed to do. Let me show you how to do this on a monthly basis or a quarterly basis. What are some of the things that you suggest to your people so they can do this proper tax planning?
Well, we have to kind of break it down. If are you talking individuals or small businesses? I love small businesses because I love to make sure that small businesses flourish. We love to see our small businesses flourish. But everybody who has a business, you need to make sure that the accounting portion is part of that business. It's
Yes.
not an afterthought. It should be part of that business. So sitting down and making sure that you're gathering all the information that you need, gathering in a time frame that you'll be able. So you need to know your incomes. You need to know your expenses. You need to know what you can kind of deduct at the same time. So that's why you need to be talking to your tax professional of where am I and where do I need to be.
Okay, listen, I want you to hold right there because I know we're coming up on a break. And callers, I want you to know that you can call in at 414-444-5250 and listen to Katrina Moore ask questions that you have as far as it relates to your individual taxes, if you're a small business or if you're an independent contractor. So, hey, check on in because we're going to talk about how we can reduce financial stress. So take a breath. In between those breaths, we're coming back with the answers. You're listening to the check-in, WNOV 860 AM, 106.5 FM. Welcome back to Check-In. We're checking in on our finances today. I'm Kweku Dr.Alisia, joined by Dr. Alisia Moutry, who's in her home all nice and comfy and warm.
Sorry, but not sorry. I'm also keeping people safe. I need to be here, so it's
Hey,
okay.
no, real talk. And we're looking at the news as it comes in. And Jermaine and Clark, we're just looking at minus 35 on Friday. So people, please be careful.
Be careful.
To
Yes,
joke with. We got these children coming out without their coats all the time and glove. This ain't the day for that. But just like that weather can get you, man, if you don't do your taxes right, the government can come get you. That's why we got Katrina Moore, EA, in the house. It's in the game. So when we're talking about that, we're really talking about like these taxes. And one of the things that she was just talking about before was the difference between tax planning and tax filing. But if you're going to be planning, you got to be aware of what's going on. You talk about from like year to year, different things come. Now, you told me that taxes are changing even more behind your President Donald Trump's new big, beautiful bill. Can you talk about some of the things that's around the corner from an immediate standpoint, long term, and then from small business and independent contractors? I know that's a lot.
Individuals,
same
as small business. The big, beautiful bill, which was passed on July 4th, made a lot of changes. They put into effect changes that had been made 4 years ago. Some of them became permanent, but then he also made some big changes. So some of those changes that we're going to see that it's going to affect people is one is no taxes on tips. We have no taxes on overtime. There has been an increase of standard deduction for our seniors. And then we also have it's just so much. We also have an increased child tax credit that's coming about. And then there's going to be additional reporting also for the cryptocurrency. So with that bill, there's going to be a lot of changes for this year. So make sure that people are talking to the tax professionals and not trying to do everything themselves, because there could be some things that they miss.
Okay, so break that down a little bit. Some of these things, how does that affect, as you say, no tipping, more with the credit for the children, things of that nature? Break those down so we can understand.
Well, it's breaking it down that they want to help the tax code. We're supposed to put more money into the people during the tax year. But as we know, when that bill came about, most of it was to basically go to the higher 1% as opposed to helping. It is going to help for some. So I'm not saying that no tax on tips or no tax on overtime is horrible. It is not horrible.
That sounds good.
Yeah, no, it's going to help people. But when you start to look at the tax laws, which I have done with, all the training I've done, in totality, there's income limitations. There's certain things that can't be done. So you really want to just not say, okay, there's no tax on tips and there's no tax on overtime. So I'm going to take my whole paycheck and put it on my taxes, and I'm not going to get tips. I'm not going to get taxed on it. That's not how you can do it.
So when I look at that, I think of like the difference between tax avoidance and then when you talk about tax evasion. Tax avoidance is when you start to go into these credits and deductions and everything like that. What
That's
are some of the
tax
things?
Planning.
So when we talk about that, what are some of the things that people could say, hey, I want to do this tax planning. I want to be able to keep as much as my money as I can. What's some of those standard things where people might not even know that they can use as deductions or as credits?
Well, once again, we go to your small businesses or your individuals. So when you have your small businesses, it is really looking at what am my business doing that I'm able to make sure that I'm deducting? Can I deduct, that LLC that I actually got, making those deductions? Can I deduct the home office that I am in my home that I'm actually working? Can I actually deduct that? What expenses can I deduct? Can I deduct all of those meals that I take people out or with clients? Those are the type of things that you should be looking at.
Dr. Moutry, you had a question?
Yeah, I did. There was another thing that you talked about with that big, beautiful bill that caught my eye. My mother is a senior, my mother-in-law is a senior. There's a lot of seniors that are listening in, and you made a comment about the standard deduction on seniors. Could you break that down a little bit further?
Yep. So for the standard deduction for seniors is that seniors over 65, there is an additional $6,000 that is going to be in effect for this tax season. But we still have to be careful because that $6,000, if your income is over 150,000, then you don't get that deduction.
Mm. Got it. Thank you. I hope seniors, I hope you're listening. And again, if you have a question, make sure you feel free to call in 414-444-5250. We've got an expert here. Let's begin to check in with her.
And Alicia, I do want to say, so with the seniors also, when I say the $150,000, so when you look at some of the seniors who get that pension and then they're also paying on, they're getting Social Security, a portion of their Social Security becomes taxable. And so that's what that $6,000 is actually going to help with, that it's going to make some of that not as taxable when they get in a pension and that Social Security.
Hey, you know what? Clark just put up on the screen. We got something from one of our listeners, Kelly Felder. Hey, shout out Kelly. She's a frequent listener. Had a birthday yesterday, so shouts out to
birthday.
You. As a business owner, keeping my books in order is so important. I depend a lot on that on her CPA throughout the year. But she had talked about it was important for children to learn about this. So this kind of veers a little way where we were going, but how early is too early? You were in the 9th grade when you got some stuff, but for us to start learning or teaching our children this financial literacy.
No, at this point, we should be teaching our children in grade school, because just knowing what that dollar is for children really helps them, because we're coming into a society, first of all, that children don't have actual money. So they're not seeing the coins and the dollars that we used to see when we were growing up.
Cash at me, Apple Pay.
Correct. It's so digital. But we have to teach our children that the digital is not always there, because when it says zero, it's zero regardless. It's not that you can keep sliding that cash app or putting in money's going to come out. So teaching them as early as even grade school, giving them that allowance, you get it into a different way, but giving them that allowance and showing them what they can do with that money.
Look, and oh my goodness, when you said that, it totally made me have a visualization of back in the day. We had like a jar, and we would take all those coins and we would collect those coins. We couldn't wait to go to the bank to have that money turned into physical dollars. So I appreciate you saying that. I would love for you to give another recommendation of what parents could do in regards to children, because I think is really important. In schools, we have financial literacy happening to begin to get children more educated. If I could personally say, I wish that I would have maybe even had my children to have credit cards a little bit early so that I can help build their credit. Do you happen to have any additional strategies as far as getting children engaged in this financial component and being prepared for what's ahead?
Well, what you just said, that strategy, Alicia, is a good strategy when the children are older, putting the credit cards. We don't want putting children on credit cards so young.
Yeah, don't mess up
Don't do it. Don't do that. Or light bills or water bills. Don't put that in your kids.
I'm a credit 300 and I'm 16.
But that is a good strategy.
Funny. Yeah. Be the truth.
But it is a good strategy. If you're good with your money, and putting those kids on those credit cards early does start them to have that basis. But it really is the same as I was saying about even giving the children the allowances. You're just giving it in a different form. You don't have a jar, but maybe taking some type of chart that they can see where that money is growing, or putting the money that they save or the money that they have in some type of account that's going to be interest bearing, where not only do they have their money, but then they see how that money is also interest bearing, where it's earning money.
All right. I love that. I see the phone lines is blowing up. So what we're going to do is we're going to get Jermaine a chance to get into it. But what I want you to do is, before we get this first one on, is to go just real quickly, like you were kind of going into the best practices. So if you could give me your top 3 as a best practice for not talking to our children right now, but talking to the adults, the individuals, so not even small businesses, but just individuals who saying, okay, April 15th is coming up. What's some best practices for me to know? So even if I messed up in 2025, I can get it started on the right track in 2026.
One of the best practices really is just staying organized. That is the biggest thing. That's the biggest stressor, because when we look at the stresses of the financial, you stress because you don't know what what is entailing, what is it going to be, how are my taxes going to be? Then you kind of go to an avoidance where you don't even want to do it, you don't want to see it. So it's just getting organized, making sure that you have the information that's needed to get that person to help with the taxes. And so the organization, taking a step breath, a step back. And then also, if it's over your head, just know that you can ask for help. You don't have to always say, okay, I have to sit down, I have to do this. Go to the professionals. Make sure that you are talking to them in a time frame that they can help.
Quick? You are a professional. Somebody's saying, hey, I want to talk to her. How do they get in contact with you?
Oh, most definitely. You can talk to me. My company, A-Tax Income Tax Service, I'm located at 3900 North Mayfair Road, right on the corner of Highway 100 and Capitol Drive.
That's the 62. You can get right there.
Is it still the 62 though?
I thought so. That's how long it's been for me.
I think it's the red line.
Okay.
But you can catch the bus right there to get it. And I am there. And as the tax season is coming, because the tax season is here.
Is there a number?
The number is 414-527-2829. 414-527-2829.
All right, we're gonna keep giving that number out.
That number, and I am available. The tax season is here. Monday, the tax season opens for the IRS. This is the first Monday that they will allow any e-filing to be done. So if you've been doing your taxes, beforehand, this is the time to get it all together.
January 26th.
January 26th, the IRS opens up.
Okay. Well, I know it's for 3, but we got some callers on, Dr. Moutry, so we're gonna let one of the callers get on. You're talking to Katrina Moore of A-Tax Consulting and Taxes. I know. Changing that A plus tax. Go ahead, caller.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Hey,
Dr.
my man.
Dr. Cook. Did I mispronounce your name?
Yeah, so Kweku, you got it. It's always the blacksmith.
Kweku. Hey, young man. Hey, thank you for being there. Thank you for everybody in the studio for being there. I don't remember everybody's name, but thank you for your guests. We're talking about the taxes and how to affect people.
Mrs. Katrina Moore.
Miss Katrina Moore,
yes.
Thank you so very much, young lady, because you've been very, informative and very helpful. Hey, Kweku, I don't know, she's still there?
Yeah, she's still right here.
I'm right here.
She's ready for your question.
Okay, I just want to thank you, young lady, for saying that. Because what I wanted to share with Dr. Kweku, I always call him Dr. Q. But anyway, sir, excuse me, I don't mean to necessarily go off the subject matter that you're talking about, the taxes and how people should watch out for themselves. And you have the right place to come with your agency. And thank you so very much again for being here this morning. And thank you for sharing your information. And thank you for watching out for the community. And I appreciate that, young lady.
All right. Do you got a comment?
I messed up.
No. It's all good. We just got another caller on, so I just wanted to make sure that we got you clear before we went to the next side.
Okay, I'm not gonna hold up the phone like that, because what I wanted to ask was, we have so much going on with the closing up the grocery stores and stuff like that in our communities, back to back, like Domino's and stuff like that. They cutting SNAP program best they can. And people don't have nowhere to go and stuff like that. So I just want to put that out there. I think it's political, since Donald Trump been in the White House and Republicans have control. I think these grocery stores is closing up. It's not because black people are stealing or anything like that, because white people steal too. But I think it's political. I just want to throw that out there real quick. Thank you, Dr. Kweku.
No, we're going to get back on target and track, but sometimes the people need to know something. We're going to the next caller. Caller, you're on the check-in with Dr. Moutry and Kweku. You have a question for Mrs. Katrina Moore?
Indeed, I do. Good morning, and thank you for taking my call. Peace and blessings. Good to hear your voice and be in your presence again for the second time this year. Tyrone W. speaking. Good afternoon, everyone. Mr. Rideout and Dr. Kweku. I was wondering, the young lady, I was hearing about the assistance there, and I was wondering if it was primarily commercial or residential. But then she was saying about the youngsters, even as young as 5 years old, start them out with their own personal cans and stuff. Every 30 days, take your cans in, let them feel that money. Let them handle that money, let them know that that's theirs. You're drinking your soda and stuff, even the stuff that your corn and beans come in. Instead of giving that to the city, take it in, it goes to sheet iron, but give that to them for their little pocket money now, and then, you can start your college, whatever, early. But let them handle that money, and they'll know what it feels like just to handle money off of their cans and, aluminum or steel or whatever. Let them be the transpire of that money.
No, I 100% agree with you.
And I'll listen to you over the air. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, I said one of the things that I do is, like, my children, let's say they generous auntie give them some money for their birthday, and then we go out and they're like, hey, hey, can I have this? I said, yeah, use the money TT just got you. Not a financial sense is coming. They're like, no, I don't really need that. I don't want that. So when we talk about enabling our children, honestly, they start to understand the value of the dollar when they have to spend their own. What are some of the tips that you use?
No, those are the same tips. You just making sure that giving those kids so that they can see the money. We may not do many as cans as much as we used to, because you can see that not credit card, but the debit cards that they buy from the stores, because we're in a digital age, and that's what I just want to get. We are in a digital age, and we're not coming out of it. So just having them being able to see that information and see it in real time and seeing on the computer, because they're always on the computers, give them access to their accounts so that they can see that information.
No, I love that. Dr. Moutry, you have a question?
Well, I had a question from someone on the line. So you ready to move to another topic?
Well, go ahead. Yes.
Okay, so the question was, and again, this is coming from a listener online, and the question was, based up on taxes, what recommendation would you provide for a business that may be a small business, but they happen to be in a lull right now? Business isn't as good as it used to be, but here they are. What would any recommendations you would have for them?
They're in a, what was the word, Alicia, that you said?
It was just a low. Maybe they made, this X amount for this year, but now all of a sudden the business is at a low where they're not making as much, so the dollars are a little bit less than what they would typically have made. Any recommendations that you would have for a small business like that?
Well, depending upon the industry that they're in, they may want to look at it some type of collaboration, some type of looking at some other business that may be doing something similar to, or what they actually need, that product or that service that they need. Look at some type of collaboration, and also networking, just going into the areas of where they in whatever industry that they're in, to be able to get more information about it and be able to be exposed to more.
Right. But anything in regards to, like their expenses that they're writing off, or anything to do with how they are designated as a corporation? Any suggestions in regards?
Well, as far as the designation, because you can be a business without having an LLC. Because I always tell people, just because you have an LLC, that's not a tax status. An LLC really is an insurance status. It's to help for the liability of your company. So if you're in a business that actually is high regard, that they need to make sure that they can't be sued themselves, then you want to be the LLC. But if you're having an LLC, then that's when you want to separate your personal to your financial. So to answer your question, as far as that company that's in a low, for them, what they just need to look at is that where are my expenses are? Am I bringing any income? It's also, once again, organizing, writing down everything that they actually doing, and to make sure where are their monies going. Maybe they're putting their monies where they shouldn't be. Maybe they're doing all this marketing, but then they're not getting their return on investment on that marketing. So maybe they need to stop doing the marketing and to put the focus somewhere else.
I like that, because that goes back into your whole planning. Like, hey, if we're planning, we understand this could be kind of like seasonal work where it's ups and downs, and we understand how to do it. Caller, we see you on, but we got to take a break. If you can hold on till we get back, Katrina Moore will be the first person you talk to when we hold on. You are listening to Katrina Moore EA. So take a deep breath. In between that breath, we're going to come back and we're going to talk about how to reduce the stress with finances. You're listening to The Check-In with Dr. Moutry and Kweku on WNOV 860 AM, 106.5 FM. Back to the check-in, and as soon as we left, we said we were going to get right to the caller. So, caller, thanks for holding on. You're listening to the check-in with Dr. Kweku and Moutry, and we have Katrina Moore on the line to answer all your questions tax-related. Caller, you have a comment or a question?
A comment.
All right, we're listening to you. If you can speak up just a little bit so we can hear it very well.
First of all, I'd just like to give a shout out to my tax person.
Thank you.
Hey, that's the best endorsement. If somebody call her, don't mess with her. She said, no.
But my original call-in question, my original reason for calling in is Dr. Kweku.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm glad to see that you learned the lesson. I remember when you were a child, you go to McDonald's and you wanted 5 different things. And when I made you use your money, you said, I'll just have French fries. I just thought I'm glad you learned the lesson.
We don't even know who this is.
Thanks, Mama.
But anyway, good show. Thank you.
All right. Hey, y'all, that was my mama.
Thank you, Mama. Love you.
So we want to thank you for teaching the lessons, because that's how you learn. Sometimes it's amazing. You don't realize you're using the same lessons your mom and daddy taught on you and whatnot like that.
And
so
I am a tax person.
So Dr. Moutry, I know you said you had a couple of questions.
I do. I have another couple questions. I'll just do one real quick. And again, that was Mama. That was really funny. So the question is, Ms. Moore, is what triggers the IRS notice or an audit? And if it is triggered, like there's certain things that you can do that's going to be an automatic red flag to the IRS and they coming at you, right? Can you describe some of those things that may come up as red flags to the IRS? And then what would someone do in regards to that, if that is the flag that captures them?
Well, 2 different things. One, red flags with the IRS can come up at any time. But one of the things, and this is a funny one, one thing not triggering the IRS is not putting kids on your tax return that are not yours.
That's them ghost kids. I thought it was mine. That's what she told me.
But just making sure that the information that you are actually looking at, the deductions that you are actually entitled to, because what the IRS does do is that they do look at some of those red flags. So if you're a small business, small owner, and you are putting on deductions that may not even be consistent with the type of company or the type of job that you have, those are going to bring red flags to the IRS. Another thing that brings red flags is that if you're putting in inflated numbers. So one thing that I actually tell my clients come and I'm like, okay, well, how much is this? They be like, oh, it's about $100.
Oh, so you mean like if you have an apartment that's 1,200 square feet, but you say it's 5,000 square feet?
Yeah, that's not a good thing.
I don't know who did that. It could have been, I don't want to use my Trump card and say who might have did something like that, but some people get away with it, but you ain't.
Exactly. So you can only get away with things so far. And so it's those type of things, inflating numbers on your tax return, using numbers that's just arbitrary. And when I say using numbers for arbitrary, everyone always kind of guess. But that's where I go back to that planning. If you are doing your income, if you're doing your expenses, you know that expense is $3,222. It's not $3,800. Yeah. So you shouldn't be putting all those type of numbers on your tax returns. Red flags that the IRS comes up with is that.
So I'm looking at FDIC. Do they have kind of work websites and things of that nature where people can go to? Is there anything like the IRS or a government has where people can look up and say, I want to better educate myself this?
The IRS actually has quite a few things on their website for you to look. But once again, it can get confusing. And so when we have changes such as we are having this year, what you were saying, things that you have done last year, you can't do this. You can't do in the current years. So you have to make sure that you are up on the laws every year because they are ever so changing.
So having a professional who is up to date, understands what they're doing is so important. Go ahead.
And I was just going to say, a person who's up to date and making sure that they are giving the information. So if you're walking into your tax office and they're just like, okay, I got you. And they don't ask you any questions about what your taxes or what your tax changes were, you probably want to stay away, because if they're saying, okay, I can get you $8,000, but I never met you, that's a problem. Because they haven't spoken to you. So how you can get me $8,000 and you ain't never met me? So you need to look at who you're looking at, and you look at the type of tax professional that you are you are speaking with, because the tax professionals, everybody, you don't have to have a degree to do taxes.
Yeah.
You should have the education and the yearly compliance to actually do the taxes and make sure. But everyone who does the taxes are not looking at all the deductions that you are entitled to.
So, Ms. Moore, if people are trying to get in touch with you again, can you just remind us, maybe somebody's looking for a tax consultant. How might they get in touch with you? Some people may have just joined in.
Yep. So for consulting for taxes, I'm available. My office, A-Tax Income Tax Service, located at 3900 North Mayfair Road. The phone number, 414-527-2829.
Dr. Moutry, this is about the time where you started to get like a summary of all of the stuff that we done talked about right now. There's so many different things. Can you summarize some of this great information that we've gone through?
Listen, I want you to get out of my head. All I know is like that's look, when we're not in the room, we're still in the room. I love it. So I think about having a tax professional in your life. You want to get one before you need one, is what some of the things I've heard. We heard a lot about some of the new laws that are in place that you really need to become familiar with. We've talked a little bit about some of the triggers that will attract the IRS, which we do not want to attract them in that type of a way. We talked a little bit about, what do you do and how do you know the difference between tax filing and tax planning, which I am big on and know that that's truly important. And then we talked about this young lady that's in front of us that could be a resource for you. And I just got to jump. I don't know how much time, but I do want her to tell us, if it could be real quick. Give me one. You got many customers. What has been a issue with some of the people that come in front of you, or a pet peeve as far as people coming that want you to do their taxes? Real quick, elevator.
Real quickly, the one pet peeve is my businesses that comes in. When you come see a person at the tax time, once again, it's not tax planning. So if you have not done all your books the year before, trying to say that you have to do taxes right then, that is my pet peeve.
So I would rather taxes in the office.
No, we're not doing the taxes then. We need to have a consultation. We need to go over what needs to be done. That is my pet peeve, is that if I have to tell small businesses anything, get organized and talk to a person early on before you just coming to them on January, February saying, I need my taxes done. And also before the bank says, I need your financial statements.
Ooh, everybody said that, boy. That's for real. So listen, I know you've given us so much information. Go ahead. Oh, and make sure that their CPA is not a CPA if they need a CPA.
Yep, and
a bookkeeper is not a CPA.
I just wanted to mark that. So a CPA. So Kelly, yes, you do want to make sure that they're a CPA. Actually, it doesn't necessarily have to be a CPA, because bookkeepers work with CPAs. But when you're talking about taxes, I'm an EA. I'm not a CPA, but there is differences where I specialize in taxes and CPAs specialize in everything.
Brother Rideout,
can you explain to the people that don't understand or know what CPA is?
Well, CPA is a certified public accountant. They are registered by their state in order to do a whole realm of accounting. So they can do auditing, they can do financial statements, they can do all of that. Whereas an EA, I'm licensed by the IRS to actually focus on taxes. Okay. So I'm able to represent anyone with taxes, whether it's individual small businesses, resolution.
Right.
I'm registered with the IRS to be able to represent you in front of the IRS.
So listen, this is what we're going to have to do, because we can't answer all of the questions, Dr. Moutry. We're going to have her back so we can start to do some regular planning so people understand how to do this on a regular quarterly basis. Hey, listen, everybody, you've been listening to the Check-In on WNOV 860 AM, 106.5 FM. We love you, Milwaukee. Keep listening, and please don't play with the I and the R and the S. Talk to Katrina Moore. She can help you. Hey, Milwaukee, Nakupenda, we love you. We'll see you next week. Peace.